with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast, ready or not, we run, skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast, ready or not, we run, skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast, ready or not, we run, skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast, ready or not, we run, skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast, ready or not, we run, skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast,
Um, Good evening, guys. Welcome to today's session on Xpacers on achieving business success by balancing customer focus with internal priorities using user research. So today we'll explore the critical role of customer centricity in business success and how aligning internal priorities with user needs can drive growth and innovation. And this session will be led by me, obviously, Lynette Kamau, the design research lead at Marathon XP. So, customer centricity, haven't moved the slides. Okay. So, customer centricity is crucial for businesses looking to thrive in today's competitive landscape. And by putting customers at the center of their operations and consistently delivering value, businesses can drive growth, foster loyalty, and build sustainable success over a long period of time in the long term. And some examples of companies that have excelled in prioritizing customer centric approaches while aligning them with their business goals are like Amazon and Netflix. So, Amazon and Netflix heavily rely on user data analytics to understand their customer behavior, preferences, and trends, and this enables them to make informed decisions regarding content acquisition, production, and in the case of Amazon, growth in their e-commerce products, and platform enhancements to better the needs of their users. And they actively, another way that they do this is that they actively solicit feedback from their users through various channels such as surveys, ratings. They do a lot of user research, the reviews we see on the platforms, because also at times we make our decisions based on the reviews of the products on the platforms. So using these channels, they're able to gather feedback from their users, and it allows them to gain valuable insights into what their customers prefer, their pain points, and also it enables them to promptly react to issues that are arising on the platforms and make continuous improvements to the platform. And also they use the data to inform future decisions that they need to make on their business, and they use their data to help their users, their customers rather, inform future decisions based on the behavioral trends that they've observed. And by doing this, their impact on customer centricity or obsession is reflected in their remarkable revenue growth, market dominance, and retention efforts, because currently they're the biggest players in their respective industries. And by consistently meeting and exceeding customer experience, they have captured a significant market share in their respective industries. And generally, their commitment to customer centricity has not only driven business success, but also positioned them as leaders in the e-commerce and streaming media sectors. Because I don't think right now, if anybody was to compete with these two companies, they'd really have to put quite an amount of effort to get to the level that they are, or do whatever they are doing on um, on an exponential level that beyond what Amazon or Netflix are currently doing. So, what about the internal priorities or goals in user research? So, aligning with the internal or business goals with user research, it's essential for creating products and services that are not only successful in meeting business objectives, but also resonate with users and provide with them value. Because initially, a business will have an idea that they think will solve a certain problem. But if it doesn't align with what the users need, the idea is as good as useless, because they'll take the product to market and nobody will take it up. And throughout this, and also some internal processes impact overall user experience. So you find, like in companies like Amazon, and Amazon especially, they preach or they evangelize a lot about being customer obsessed. So they've made it as part of their internal culture or employee culture, to adapt to the fact that the user is at the center of every decision that they make. And they are also aware that all the processes that happen within the organization, whether customer facing or back end, they all affect the end experience of the customer either way. So they highly preach about being customer obsessed, and they practice it, and that's how they've been able to experience the exponential growth that they have experienced and they continue experiencing. And we are going to go through some of the case studies to see how other companies have been able to blend in the internal objectives and how it has internal objectives with their customer centricity and the impact that it has on their business. So the first example we're going to look at is Apple, and Apple is known for its seamless integration of customer feedback into product design, and they've managed this by balancing customer product with their business goals, and they've established themselves as leaders in delivering exceptional user experiences. And you're all witnesses to it, because Apple keeps being referred to as having platforms, products, or devices that are very user friendly and very simple and easy to use by the users. And they've been able to achieve this through various ways that I'll mention. One of them being they've put a lot of effort in empathizing with the users, and this has helped them inform design decisions and has helped them create products that resonate with users on a personal level. Another thing that they've done is they've focused on user experience. So they've considered every touch point that the user interacts with, from when they see the advert on their website or whatever platforms the users experience they become aware of the platform, to how the stores are designed, and also now to the how they use or engagement how they engage with the different devices or products that they have, to ensure that there's a seamless and enjoyable user experience. So they've thought through the whole customer journey, and they've tried to make it as simple, as attractive as possible to users. And they've also tried to make it something that the users actually need to integrate in their lives. And that's why you find there's a really high demand for Apple products all over the world. Whenever they launch a new product, customers are always lining up in front of their stores to acquire this product. Another way they've been able to do this is using iterative design, the iterative design process. So they've been able to adapt to changing user needs and preferences over time. So you are witnesses to the evolution of Apple products, from the Macintosh, how it looked, the first Macintosh in 1984, to how it currently looks right now in 2024. There's been a lot of iterations that have happened in terms of shape, size, design, weight, the type of processors they use, the type of materials they use to build this, the aesthetic, the ergonomics of the keypads, and how just how they place things. So they keep iterating based on the different times, and also based on their different customer preferences over time, which they get to learn using the continuous research or gathering of customer feedback over time. Another thing is that Apple has focused on building long-term relationships with their customers, and they have increased the customer lifetime value for the company. So by offering high quality products, seamless user experience, and ongoing support services, they've been able to maximize the lifetime value for each customer. And this has in turn led them to drive sustainable growth and profitability. Yeah, because you find like when a lot of users, once they acquire an Apple product, be it an iPhone, a MacBook, an iMac, etc., a lot of users tend to proceed or progress with the new models that are released over time. And also, you find like a lot of Apple users gravitate into creating a whole ecosystem of their digital devices to be Apple. So you find one has an iPhone, has a tablet, and they have a MacBook, they have an iMac. And this is because Apple has also invested a lot on trying to integrate or making the interaction between the user and their devices very seamless. So what you can access on your phone, you can also be able to access on your tablet, you can also be able to access on your MacBook. So they've really encompassed or understood the customer's mind, what they need, the convenience, and all this. And in turn, all this has been translated to their growth, their relatability, the brand loyalty by their customers. Another example we're going to look at is Spotify. So, Spotify with reference to their premium packages. So initially, Spotify was started as a free ad-supported streaming platform, but as the company grew, it sought ways to generate revenue and provide a better experience for users. And it developed packages on Spotify Premium as a way to monetize the service, as well as offer additional features to users that are willing to pay for them. And you find like they have different they catered for different categories of customers using these packages. They customize it for individuals. Guys would like to purchase the subscription for themselves. They also created a package for Duo, so which can be shared by two people. So this is in turn cheaper for both, but you're still able to get a good experience. You're able to listen with to your music without ads. You're able to download albums and also save the albums and listen online. They also provided a package for a family. So if you have a family, you're able to add up to like 5 members. So this can be adapted even by a group of friends, and it's cheaper across board, and they're able to get premium experiences on Spotify. They also recognize that there are students who are not able to afford. They want to have a good experience, but they're not able to afford the full price of an individual subscription. So they were able to gather they were able to leverage on the customer insights that they had to come up with these packages and be able to cater for every customer that they had on the freemium. So you find this, the freemium subscription is still available for those who don't mind ads or being restricted on how many songs they can skip, or or not being able to download music. But if you they also left the option of so they left that option, then they offer these other packages for people who want an enhanced experiences, therefore not losing any customer along the way and catering for everyone. I think it's the same thing that YouTube is trying to currently do with their premium subscription, because current both Spotify and YouTube used to earn their revenue using ads. So by introducing this freemium subscription, they're able to maintain their bottom line, which is increasing profitability, but they are also still able to maintain users for those who don't mind the ads. They still get to earn from the ads for the users who haven't paid for the premium. So it's a balance between creating an experience that effectively serves the users and also its bottom line as a company. So there's this quote I came about on LinkedIn, where that was saying researchers often develop do with it what you will attitude when handing off their findings and insights, using soft language like our data seems to suggest, or it depends. But here's the thing, it can't depend. Researchers are recognizing it more and more. Businesses operate in black and white more than shades of gray. And if there's any team that deserves to be assertive in its recommendation, it's the one with the in-depth customer knowledge in the organization, which is the research team. So this I found this quote relevant to this session because you find a lot of us as researchers, when we do, or even designers, when we do our research, we and gather our findings. When we present it to the stakeholders, we sometimes forget that they are a business. They've commissioned us to do a piece of research in order to gain insights from it, for them to be able to make business decisions that will elevate their business. But and we normally present the insights in in a way like the customer says this, but we forget, like, the customer says this, but how can we leverage this information to align with our business model, and so that the customer can get what they want, as well as us achieving what we need to as a business and have successful business outcomes. So we are now going into the next session, or slides, whereby we're going to go into talk about the strategies that us as designers or researchers can, or service designers can take into account when conducting our research process, to be able to balance out or get buy-in from the stakeholders, and match with their business objectives. One thing is that it's essential for us to implement strategies that effectively balance customer needs with the business objectives, and the collaboration between designers, product, and business teams is very key in achieving this balance. And another thing is that by employing this, learning how to balance between the customer needs and the business objectives, it also helps the business understand the return on investment on them conducting the research, which I believe Mutugi, my colleague, had done as an Xpacers session regarding the same. So you can revisit that and find out more about ROI of UX research. And during this session, we're going to discuss practical tips and strategies for harmonizing these elements in your work using the impacts framework. So the I in impact stands for involve from the beginning. And when what do I mean by involve from the beginning? So as you start your design project or research study, you need to understand which stakeholders are involved within the organization, who are the decision makers, and you can do this at the beginning using like a stakeholder mapping out all the stakeholders, their roles, their different roles, how their different actions also contribute to the end experience. And you need to do this because when stakeholders and leaders are closer to the unmet needs or pain points of the users, they are able to make more informed decisions, and they also become advocates in the conversations that you may never be part of. So, like from experience in projects that we've done, you find that when you're doing a project, you're dealing with the project owner and the project sponsor. Then once you're done with your research and present to them, they themselves take up the information that you've given them and relate to their higher ups, like their executive team members or their key stakeholders. And a lot of times we are not involved in that process. So you need to know like who's who needs to be involved, who are the decision makers, and also because also from that you'll be able to understand the key needs of each stakeholder in this process. So and also you'll also be able to know who do you need to get buy-in in order to for certain decisions to take action based on the insights that you'll gather from the field. The M in impact stands for motivate action. So as you do your research, as you plan your activities, as you design the instruments and do the research plans, you can actively, excuse me, you can actively involve the stakeholders by requesting feedback, asking them to have a look at maybe the instrument designs that you're working on or the criteria of the users that you're going to speak to, because a lot of times you'll find that they have input of people they think you should talk to, because again they are the industry experts. Or if it's in-house, also getting other guys to contribute to this process also makes them have ownership over the process, and it's like the project, they feel like they're involved in the project and no decision is being made without their knowledge. So this will save you when you're going to present your insight findings, and maybe you have some controversial findings that do not paint the picture well for the business. And they since they were involved in the process, they won't be as defensive as they as they would if they were not involved in the process. And I got a quote from Interaction Design Foundation that says, like, you need your stakeholders to have co-ownership of your research project so that you do the most relevant research and also have backup to make changes based on your research. So on the relevant research, that means the research is relevant to meeting the business goals, and having backup to make changes based on your research, like your research should enable them to or drive them to make certain decisions for their business. Then if during presentations you find a stakeholder presentations of findings, you find a stakeholder being defensive or turning or yeah, being defensive about what's being presented, you can turn their attention away from questioning the results. And I'm sure a lot of my colleagues relate to this, because we've had a project whereby a stakeholder was asking, how do you determine how do you validate what the users say versus what they do? In such cases, you pivot, and instead of naming and over explaining your process, you can go and try to understand what their concern is, what's their underlying concern, because from their question, there's something they're trying to understand. And you can, an example of a question that you can ask if someone brings up a question to the insights that you've gathered, is you may ask what concerns do they have regarding such and such issue, from based on what you've learned, or what makes them feel like what you've learned is not right. And this opens up to further collaboration between yourself and the client, because them answering this question, you get to understand the underlying concern that they have while raising these issues. So it's good to continuously involve the stakeholders during this process, so that so that by the end of the project, or even during the project, you've created allies, and they're not going to question your process as much. Then the P stands for present your own work. So, what do I mean by presenting your own work? So, as the people who've conducted the research, we are the custodians of the customer insights, and we are the ones advocating for the customers, and we understand the intricacies of what the customers feel, their behaviors, how they make decisions. And when we get other stakeholders to present their findings to other teams themselves, you might find like a lot might be lost in transition. So, like for example, the moment a senior leader or a director or other members of the organization have questions, the person that you might have delegated, or the person that might have been delegated to pass on this information to them, might not be able to answer adequately, um, or on the flip side, they might unintentionally paint an inaccurate picture of what you have learned, and they and rub and create a bad notion about the study that you've just concluded. And if someone else also handles key takeaway slides or an email or a recap of their research, they might frame it in a way that might be misinterpreted, or in a way that matches their own agenda. So, by taking ownership of your work, by presenting it yourself, will not only be more visible within the organization, but you'll be able to convey the truth as you uncovered it during your research, and even if it's unpopular. And even these unpopular insights normally lead to more discussion, and ultimately lead to more impact based on the decisions that arise from such discussions. So, if you're in a junior position, you could probably request like your boss or your team lead, if you can be sitting into such meetings. That way, even if they are the ones relaying this information, if they misinterpret or if they miss a point, you're able to jump in and fill in the gaps, therefore enabling them to tell the whole story. But I know sometimes that's not possible, but if it's possible, try as much as you can to sit in those rooms and present the work. Then the in impacts stands for attending the right forums or meetings. So, just being a part of the conversation. So you find most of the time research is normally consumed by either the product team or the marketing department. Yet, all departments within an organization play a part in contributing to the success of a good customer experience. So, if you are able to, you can get all the teams within the organization in a room, or schedule different sessions with different departments and relay to them the customer insights, because the separate sessions will also be beneficial, because you can be able to articulate um, the insights based on based on the interests of the different departments. Because sometimes if you present on a general forum with all the departments, some departments may not understand how these insights feed into them. So if possible, try and hold different meetings with the different departments. If not, try and have every department represented within that session. Then the C stands for creating allies. This is a big one because one of the major challenges we have as designers is getting stakeholder buy-in. And the more people you have on your side at all levels, the more you'll have people advocating for customer feedback throughout the product development cycle or the end-to-end experience of the customer journey. I've been able to experience this during the different projects that I have. That once you have certain allies, or you've nurtured relationships with some stakeholders, even as you're presenting uncomfortable insights to senior stakeholders, they'll be there to back you up. And some of the tips that you can use to create these allies is like from the stakeholder map that you did when you're trying to involve different team members from the beginning, you can start to understand the different roles of the different stakeholders and understand the starting points of the stakeholders that you want to influence the most. So you might start nurturing those small conversations on the side just to get them on your level or to understand what you're doing. Another thing that you can do is speak the language of the rest of the people and not the technical language of UX. So when like you're relaying certain insights, try not to use words like cognitive overload or the terms that we use as we do our work. So try to make the language as light as possible so that you don't lose your stakeholders along the way, or the stakeholders might not think that this is very far beyond their understanding and they might need to put in extra effort to understand this. Um, and also like try to speak in the speaking of their language, try to talk to educate them on how understanding the customer insights or taking up the customer insights will have an impact of their work, because that's something they can closely relate to in their day-to-day. Another tip is identify like the stakeholders who seem to be like extremely or extraordinarily passionate about a specific issue that you've uncovered. So this, you might find like there's a specific stakeholder who's very keen to understand why customers are dropping off at a certain level in their customer journey or user side life cycle in the product or service. You can try one. You can be able to communicate once you these people will help you to like articulate also your insights well, because you'll be able to guide or frame your insights in a way that speaks to them, while highlighting the problem or challenge that they are very passionate about. And also, another thing is take your time with unsure stakeholders, the ones who are very critical, the one who ask the annoying questions, quote unquote. Take your time with them. Try to understand what their concerns are, as I spoke about earlier on. And this way they'll get to also feel like you're listening to them. And when you take into account their questions and they feel that they're being listened to, they'll definitely fall in line with your process at some point, or even align to whatever insights that you are relaying to them. Another thing, like, you can go out of your way to provide favors. Like, when you're dealing with some stakeholders, you find that a lot of them are not familiar with either the design thinking process or human centered design. So you can offer like free, not classes per se, but you can try get them to understand the importance of the process that we are taking and its benefits, and how it can translate to the work that they are doing this way. They also, it's like you're also creating another advocate to champion the user-centered process, as well as educating them on the importance of customer centricity and how it translates into their business objectives. Then the T is around tailoring the message. So tailoring the message is crucially important to ensure that your research findings don't get lost in translation, and that you have adequately provided necessary information at all levels. So, and this is probably one of the most difficult skills that any designer or researcher needs to have, because you really need to acknowledge that different people at different levels would require different ways on how you relay information to them. And this also applies to different setups as well, because how you relay insights in what is it called, like an executive meeting, whereby they just require the high level key takeaways, and how you will vary from how you relay insights in a 15-minute or 30-minute status call. So you really need to be aware about the different setups and the different contexts in which you're sharing. It's not a one size fits all kind of situation. And also, you find that you might find stakeholders who are like, okay, just get straight to the point. What did you find out, and how does this impact our business? And then on the flip side, you might find stakeholders who are very keen on all the nuances that occurred during the process. They're into the details. They're into how did you interact with the customers? What are the challenges that you experienced? So you need to understand who's who and tailor your presentations or how you present your findings to them. And one of the ways that you can do this is identifying who your audience is. That's obvious and it's very key. Highlight what matters to your stakeholders. So if outcomes or impact matters to your stakeholders, tailor your or frame your insights in a way that relays that to them. If they're trying to understand, like for example, if they're trying to understand how does whatever insight that you've shared translate into how they'll reduce churn or retain customers, try and frame your insights in a way that it answers their questions of why customers are churning, and also te- uh, communicates to them how them not addressing this issue impacts their bottom line, which is like reducing churn or increasing retention. Another thing you can do is ensure, like within every report, you have like a key takeaway slide, or what is it called? Key insights that you have uncovered. So the key insights or key takeaways are normally like the critical insights that you've uncovered during your study that you deem important for high level stakeholders to pay attention to. So this one will help you. It will have compressed everything that you need to say into key insights that the business can use to make decisions. Then another way you can do is provide like necessary context depending on the forum, as I mentioned. So you find like at later stages, as you're sharing insights, there are some teams that are involved in this part of the process that weren't at the beginning. So it helps if you are able to do like a recap of what the project is about, what has been happening, and how you got there. And another thing is like acknowledging limitations. So this can be limitations with regards to the study or limitations that the business has. So, like for example, in a recent project that we just concluded, the customers needed it was for an internet service provider. So some of the customers communicated that they needed higher speeds, internet speeds, so that they can stay on as a customer. But we acknowledge that the fact that the client or the business has an already existing business model that is able to cater for a certain internet speed, and it can't cater for customers who need speeds beyond a certain amount. So it would have been unfair for us as the researchers to communicate to the customer that they need to increase their bandwidth, yet we are aware that there are certain limitations to that. So because that now leaves the business with an insight that they are not able to action, or they can't do anything with that information because they're like, I'm only be able to offer up to this amount. So it doesn't align with their business model. Then lastly, the S stands for share liberally and gracefully. So be generous with insights. And if you're an in-house designer or researcher, try and democratize insights in a way that you empower every individual in the organization to access, understand, and leverage on the insights. And this eliminates the burden of you as the design team to be able to be around the clock as experts, and allows everyone to obtain like faster answers through the research or insights they already know because they have access to this information. And also for organizations, they can make it part of their policy that every department has access or should have access to these insights to facilitate continuous growth and information and innovation within the company. Then once you've had your what is it called? Once you have you've had your insights and you come up with recommendations, you need to measure the success of how the insights that you've gathered have met how yeah and the recommendations that you derive from them, and how it has um, met the business objectives. Because if you don't measure, there's no you you're not able to identify gaps or identify how these insights improve helped you improve on certain aspects of the customer journey. And also by defining the metrics, you're able to see the progress in terms of growth, profitability, depending on the business growth. um, once they are matched up to the business outcomes you wanted to achieve. And for success, we need to, for for metrics, we need to regularly track them and analyze them, and analyze the impact that they have on design decisions based both on user satisfaction and business performance, because it's only this way you'll be able to know if you achieved balance or not and what you can do better from it. And you find that's how Amazon, Netflix, and all the companies that I stated above, that's how they stay on top of their game, because they regularly do this. They're able to track the different metrics, they're able to continuously gather feedback and measure the progress of the design decisions that they made as they're building their products and services. So, in conclusion, we have seen the importance of balancing customer focus, sorry, and with internal priorities as a designer. And we've looked at that framework, the impacts framework that you can use during your design process to be able to do this. And we've also seen that you need to measure success or assign certain metrics to be able to see if to see the balance between the two. And to finish off, you'll find that just as a skilled conductor harmonizes the diverse instruments in an orchestra to create a beautiful symphony, a successful designer must blend customer focus with internal priorities to be able to orchestrate a seamless user experience that resonates with the audience and drives business success. So thank you so much for being part of this session, and see you next time.
Skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies, fast though. Ready or not, we run, skip with the flow, feeling the rhythm, the bounce, remind me, wacha kulala, changamka kiasi, haya basi, up and away we go, from the bottom we rise, look at the light in our eyes, see it, believe it, I see no lies.